thirsty. He grinned as he stumbled through the bar. Well, he said, give me some more love, give me some love, give it all. His breath clearly said it all. His car was parked behind the back door. Tuxedo black, El Camino 1969. Well, he said, give me some more love, give me some love, give it all. His filthy fingers said it all. Yeah. Give it all. Well, he said, give me some more love, give me some love, give it all. His lazy eyes said it all. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Well, he said, give me some more love, give me some love, give it all. Give me some more love, give me some love, give it all. He said, give me some more love, give me some love, give it all. Give me some more love, give me some love, give it all. All right, give it to me, yeah. All right, come on, come on, come on, come on. Yeah, come on, come on, come on, come on. Well, he said, give me some love, give me some love, give it all. Give me some love, give me some love, give it all. Give me some love, give me some love, give it all. Give me some love, give me some love, give it all. Baby, give me some love. Well, na 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 na.
This is what I want now. No, I won't settle for anything else. I can't keep pretending. It's not getting to me. It's never ending. Can't give you what you need. Oh no, no. You're misbehaving. Yeah, it's getting to me. It's never ending. You can
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show.
Today is Monday, September 27, 2021. We are excited tonight, this morning, to announce our partnership with ACT TV. This show, The Benjamin Dixon Show, on the clock, and like it or not, we have become somewhat of a journal, a living conversation about the history of our present and all of the absurdities that are occurring around us. And we're pleased to be partnered with people who are deeply rooted in the progressive community, who want to focus on things that we want to focus on, who are fighting for liberation the way we're fighting for liberation. And that's what we're doing at the Benjamin Dixon Show. We begin this morning with On the Clock with Georgia Ford.
Hundreds of people are sleeping in tents all across America, something that's been happening for years. And it seems as though we're stuck in a cycle. Every spring, every summer, we start to see more and more tents on unoccupied land, whether it's city-owned or state-owned. It doesn't matter. The tents, they start to form more tents, a community starts to develop of tent residents. And then as fall and winter come each year, we can just about anticipate that city and state officials who have actually been helping to maintain the grounds by cleaning, providing waste management services, and even putting out porta potties for those who are living in tent encampments, those same people who have been helping the tent residents will come out with bulldozers and tear down the communities that have been created by those who do not have homes. And you would think after 1 year or 2 year or even 3 years of being stuck in the cycle, that maybe there would be some other solution that city and state officials could come up with the same resources that they're using to maintain these tent encampments, but they don't every year. And so here we are, it is September and the time is approaching where city and state officials all across this country are going to start bulldozing tents that belong to people who don't have homes. I want you guys to take a listen. I've been following these tent encampments and the evictions or the closures now for a few years. I covered about a dozen tent encampment closures last year. And during dead of winter, I had the chance to speak to a woman who used to actually do outreach for homeless, but found herself without a job and in a tent. I want you guys to take a listen to how she described how it felt to be out there while city and state officials were bulldozing her home.
Yeah, they may just look like sleeping bags and a tent to everybody that's probably gonna see this, but that's actually somebody's home and somebody's bed and somebody's clothes that they worked hard for, all going to the garbage.
Can you talk about how you were treated today?
I was treated just like every other homeless person was treated. When you gonna pick up and move, you know? And Bobcat showed up, literally, and stopped right here first, as if you don't see human beings standing right here trying to figure out where they're gonna go. Guy pulls up and says, "Come on, you know, we got a van waiting for you to take you. You wanna take me from here and drop me off where? Another street?"
And are you comfortable with just talking about how you ended up being homeless?
You lose a job, you know what I mean? Lose a job. No jobs out here. Because of my background, you're limited employment. I had to jump through hoops to make ends meet, which I don't mind. That's something I accepted. However, I haven't been in trouble in years, you know, but that doesn't matter, you know.
Where were you working previously, and was the job loss due to COVID?
Well, part of it was due to COVID. Outreach worker, you know what I'm saying? So even though I'm out here right now, this is pretty much home for me. This is what I do. Can't even do this, not because I'm out here with it, you know. So I understand, I get it, you know. And I've been speaking for my community for the last 5 years, and it's falling on deaf ears for some reason. Yeah. You know what I mean? This is sad. Because a lot of that stuff over there is new, but where
it's hard to hear a woman who used to actually be out here helping homeless people, now homeless herself.
That's right, Georgia. Good morning, and thank you for this reporting. We need to hear more from the people who are the victims of this system, the people who are systemically left out. And thank you for this, because hearing her voice as a person who has for years serviced the unhoused community, and then to find herself in that same situation, it really speaks volumes about not only the commitment that the people have to each other, but it also speaks volumes about the abdication of duty from the government to whom we have given the consent to be governed. What are you doing with that consent? Well, we see now that they are destroying homeless encampments. They're not providing any type of significant resources to end homelessness. They are just trying to get away of the look of homelessness.
And being out there and honestly trying to cover both sides of this issue, Ben, and I think I left out, it's city, county, and state officials. And it usually depends on whose land, who owns the land. And that is the entity that will take the lead on dealing with this. But, when you hear them, if they even make a statement, right, I always reach out for a statement. Oftentimes they decline to make a statement. They'll send some paragraph, right? But when one of the pieces that I did went viral, it got more than 1 million views. All of a sudden I got a call from the mayor. Off the record. Didn't want to talk on the record, but he put pressure on his administration for someone to speak with me. And so what I learned from their end was that they were trying to coordinate housing resources to put people either in shelters where they could also share a room, because sometimes you'll see couples who are out here. And if they go to traditional shelters, they're split up and they don't want to be split up. And so they stay in a tent. You also have people, we'll hear from one later, who talked about some of the issues in shelters where you have some people who have been physically or sexually assaulted. And so what the city was saying was like, oh, we're providing storage units for people to store their items because you can only bring so much in the shelters. But when you go and you watch these closures happen with your own two eyes, what you notice is 4 huge dump trucks will be brought to the space and there's no U-Hauls. So how are things being brought to storage units when you witness everything being thrown in the trash? And so there's a lot of contradictions. What I will say, when I covered the city of St. Paul encampments last year, I haven't seen new encampments this year. But in Minneapolis, the city of Minneapolis, when I traveled to DC for the March on Washington, there were tents everywhere. In Portland, in Denver, in California, in Atlanta, there are people living in tents all across this country. And so you can shove people into a hotel for 90 days just to clean up the area and put fencing there so they don't come back to that location. But it's not 90 days is a Band-Aid. It is not solving the problem. And that's why each season we continuously see people back out here in tents.
That's right. And thank you for two winters ago in Atlanta, 11 homeless people died. We all have seen the images of Skid Row in California. We have seen this all around the country. The insult to the injury is that while these politicians are giving us lip service, the truth of the matter is they've done literally nothing to affect the homelessness population, which is a policy choice. That's the main thing I want to say. This is a policy choice. We currently have more empty homes in this country than we have homeless people. This is a policy choice. The government, the people of Germany, just voted over the weekend to nationalize 240,000 homes so that they can be used for purposes like this. It's not that we don't have the resources. It's that we don't have the political will nor the desire from the ruling elite to actually take care of the least of these.
I thought it was pretty innovative. Our mayor here, he X'd out our firework budget and reallocated those resources somewhere else, And so, yes, absolutely. City, county, state departments absolutely have the resources. You could start with your firework budget for sure, because we're spending tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars simply just for entertainment.
That's right.
And what bothers me is in covering this extensively, you get the trolls online. And the comments about the people who are living in tents sometimes can be so inhumane and just totally lack empathy or compassion. If you've never lived in a shelter, you should probably do more listening than talking, because you have no idea what it is like, especially if you're a parent and you have to bring your children to a shelter. You have no idea what it's like to be told when to eat, when to go to bed, who can come over, who can't come over. And then when you're living now and sharing common areas like bathrooms and where you eat with other people who have issues. Quite frankly, a lot of these adults are vulnerable adults, some who have mental health issues, some who have addiction issues, but not all. Some people are just down on their luck and have just lost their jobs. But so you're dealing with a variety of people. I want you guys to take a listen. There was a man I had the chance to speak with who was living in a tent. He was a younger adult. And I asked him, why is it that you don't want to go stay in a shelter? Take a listen at what he had to say.
I don't like a shelter because you don't know what could happen to you in a shelter. And that's, I mean, you can get into a conflict in the shelter with somebody or something, and somebody can misinterpret something or something. You gotta share a bathroom with a whole bunch of people, and I don't feel comfortable doing that. So I like to be out in the open and use the bathroom I like to try, Walmart or somewhere and use the bathroom. So I don't know, I don't like certain things that they have in there. So, I mean, that's all I'm gonna say. I mean, I won't want to be in the shelter.
I don't know what happened to him, but something tells me that there's more in what he's not saying than what he is saying.
That's right. That's right. Everybody, everyone, every person, every homeless individual, every unhoused individual has a story. They have a backstory. And if we do our part, they can have a future that is as meaningful as the rest of ours. I think what we have in this society is a hierarchy in our own minds, where so long as there's someone underneath us, somehow or another, that's a good thing in this country. I want to suggest something different. How about we have no one underneath us and we provide opportunities for all of these people who are equally as brilliant if given an opportunity to survive this cruel system?
Absolutely. Well, Ben, I know that you've been following a story this morning as well.
We're continuing to look at everything that's happening with our Haitian brothers and sisters. We're looking at what's going on in Texas and the response from the conservative party, the conservative movement, the Republicans. And we also have some responses from a black senator by the name of Tim Scott. And he has decided to insert himself into the national conversation with regards to the asylum seekers that have now been deported from Texas. This is what this black man had to say about it.
I want to also ask you about immigration. You didn't seem to have a problem when President Trump adopted Title 42, which allows for those migrants crossing the border to be expelled without first being guaranteed asylum hearings. This was all justified under the pandemic. The Biden administration kept those things in place. Do you have a problem with what the Biden administration is doing with the expulsion of migrants now?
I was for a strong border under President Trump. I'm for a strong border right now under President Biden.
When it comes to this question of the Haitian migrants, that the White House has basically said it's embarrassed about what has happened in the past week and a half. Do you think that it's justified, and what you have seen on camera with some of these thousands of Haitian migrants being forcibly expelled, some of them rounded up by men on horseback, is what you're seeing humane? President Biden and his administration owns the crisis that they've created at the border, the humanitarian crisis that's unfolding before every eye in the American public. But it's the same policies under the Trump administration.
The treatment obviously is different. That's why his people have resigned from their post. It's the responsibility of the president. For Haiti, you're talking about there. Thank you. It is the responsibility of the president to secure our borders. President Biden has not done so. The crisis of his own making looks very similar to the one that he made in Afghanistan, the one we're experiencing right now with taxing, the one we're experiencing with spending. This president should do a much better job of avoiding crises that are avoidable.
Now, just for a little more context, they're speaking of the retirement of the resignation of Special Envoy to Haiti, Daniel Foote, who just got the position in July, but has subsequently resigned because of the treatment of Haitians. Now, Tim Scott is trying to spin it there and make it sound as though the Special Envoy to Haiti resigned out of disappointment with the Biden administration over not having a secure enough border. And this is the angle that this brother decides to come in on when discussing the plight of our cousins. Anyone who is a survivor of slavery, a descendant of the survivors of slavery, the children of the diaspora are our cousins. And this black man has decided that Biden, whose administration swung in on whips, on horseback and whips, and has deported all of our brothers and sisters, Tim Scott has decided to inject himself into the national conversation, this Republican, on the side of Donald Trump. Not on the side of what's just, what's right, and definitely not on the side of what's in the best interest for our black brothers and sisters from Haiti.
You know, it is so interesting. I was reading the comments of some people commenting on this story and on those photos of the whips being used on Haitians. And narrative is so important because there were some people who, despite actually seeing photographs, and in some cases like that one there, where you can see a person being whipped, there are individuals who are still writing this off as though those are, you know, whips for the horse, that they're just, they were just used for the horse. And so, you know, we will continue to see people, especially on the far right, Trump supporters, who will continue to deny the truth, even when there is video evidence of what is happening. And the Biden administration, yes, backsliding here on their policies that have really produced these outcomes. That's and right. So they need to address this head on and come up with real solutions for real human beings. There's absolutely no reason why we're paying people to treat other human beings this way.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Georgia, that's it. And since you put it that way, I have to draw an analog with the police in our communities. Say, I need black people and as well as all people to understand very clearly that what we see happening domestically is a direct reflection of what we do internationally. And the force that we saw used against our Haitian brothers and sisters at the border is analogous to the force that we're seeing in our communities. And we are literally, Georgia, we are paying people, whether they be police officers or whether they be Border Patrol agents, we're paying them to be cruel to us. And I suggest if we had a problem with no taxation without representation, then we should certainly have a problem with our taxes being used to abuse us.
Yeah. And when we can make exceptions and room for other migrants, other people seeking asylum, when this nation, when all of us are legitimately immigrants ourselves, unless we are indigenous, why is it that we pick and choose the people who we want to allow to seek refuge in our nation? Why is that? And why is it when there are people who have melanin in their skin, why is it that we decide not only are we not going to accept them here, but we're going to treat them like they're animals? We're going to herd them like they're slaves. Why is that? And so I think the American people need to wake up. And this should absolutely be a wake up call for Americans in a similar way that George Floyd was a wake up call for Americans. That we have a serious, deep embedded problem of discrimination and racism that continues to show its face in every facet of our life.
And without a doubt, I need everyone to recognize that this is clearly an example of white supremacy enshrined in this country. This is a policy that was enacted by Donald Trump under the auspices of protecting our border from COVID-19, even though the greatest threat to us was always within our borders as it pertains to COVID-19. But I need everyone to really, really understand that this is so emblematic of the structural racism that remains in this country. If you cannot see it very clearly on what's going on our streets and what the police are doing to black people on every single block, then clearly you have to see the racism in this, the white supremacy in this, and how it is a consistent policy whether it was Donald Trump or Joe Biden.
You know, the last thing I'll say here, Ben, is they were just hoping nobody was looking.
Yeah.
They were just hoping there were no cameras pointed in this direction and that they could quietly do what they planned to do.
That's right.
And so as much as the media is criticized for, you know, spreading false information and, you know, the Fox Newses of the world, right? This also, I mean, the media, this shows exactly why it is very powerful. It's a powerful tool that can be used to document and expose truth, which ultimately then once you have it, you can use it to hold people accountable, right? If this footage never surfaced, the Biden administration would never be confronted with the problematic strategies that they've implemented in dealing with Haitians who are seeking asylum. They would have been able to just deploy their men on horses with whips and treat them like they were slaves. They would have been able to do it without having to answer to anyone. But no, someone showed up with the camera. And so as much as there are issues with the media industry, there definitely are times like this that we need folks to show up with a camera so that we can have the evidence that is required to enact change. And speaking of which, it reminds me of Darnella Frazier. A 17-year-old girl who was walking to the corner store who decided to pull out her camera phone and start documenting the murder of George Floyd. And had she not have done that, the Minneapolis Police Department, they issued a press release that said he just died from, you know, a medical complication while having an encounter with police. But when we saw the video that Darnella filmed, we knew that was a lie. It did not add up to what actually happened, right?
That's right.
Well, the latest developments, you know, I was in the courtroom, and so I continue to follow the Derek Chauvin developments with his case. And so he has been requesting an appeal. He's officially filed for an appeal. This came just a few days after another former Minneapolis police officer had his third-degree murder charge overturned. And so I think Derek Chauvin is hoping for the same thing, also because Derek Chauvin's third-degree murder charge, the legal foundation that was set was based on Noor's third-degree charge as a precedent. And so now that that's been overturned, the legal framework and foundation has been removed. But we know Chauvin is charged also with second-degree manslaughter and another severe charge as well. So it might not affect his sentencing, but he did file for an appeal, and he requested the courts to see him as indignant, which means he was requesting funding or a public defender. And so Judge Cahill approved on September 24th that he, or September 23rd, that he get $5,000 from the state of Minnesota for his appeal, for his legal fees.
Wow.
And I did a story on it. I saw other outlets that were, you know, putting out there that he had filed for his appeal, but I didn't see anyone pointing to the court document that showed he was going to be getting $5,000 of taxpayer money to pay for his legal fees for his appeal. And so within 24 hours of doing the story, Judge Cahill reversed his decision and denied the $5,000 that would go towards his legal fees.
Thank you, Sister Ford. Because to think about our taxpayer dollars being used for this type of savagery, because our eyes didn't lie to us. And God bless Sister Darnella Frazier for being the one who was the media in that moment, who captured the video of Derek Chauvin cruelly and savagely murdering our brother George Floyd. Here's the thing, Sister Ford. We're at a inflection point in our country. Whether or not this country is going to recognize that it is and has been for some time carrying out the exact same abuses that literally founded this country. If we're not going to be able to hold the police accountable, and if this system is structurally incapable of giving us justice, then how are we any different, America? How are your police agents any different than King George's redcoats who literally led to that abuse. The police state of King George led to the American Revolution. Now here we are paying these police officers to abuse and kill us. And then they want to throw insult to injury by giving him money, taxpayer money, for an appeal. So thank you for that reporting, because no one else was reporting it. And I like to believe that your reporting directly helped stop this travesty.
I would too. And it requires us to continue to pay attention, to stay woke, as some people would like to say, but it really shouldn't take that. We should have a court system that's founded on integrity, right? A court system that should be able to work for people like George Floyd, who are accused of a lower level offense, who should be able to just get their citation or their day in court and be able to be on about their life. But unfortunately, what many people continue to fail to realize is that is not really the system that we have. We have a system that will allow Derek Chauvin to keep his knee on George Floyd's neck for 9 minutes and 29 seconds. And now the little justice, the little accountability that has been brought forth, we see slowly unraveling.
That's right. That's right. And I believe that's the point. Because if this system actually ever holds its police state accountable, well, then they have a little problem on their hand. Because the leading edge, the tip of the spear for this system is the police state. That's how they protect everything that we see around us. This is how they're able to get away. Police are sent to destroy these homeless encampments. Police, they are sent to clear out protesters. Police, they are sent to patrol our neighborhoods. And we really must understand how we as people do not have to tolerate the abuses from this system, whether they be structurally, like this judge trying to give Derek Chauvin $5,000, or whether it be structurally in the form of them being on our corners, policing us abusively. We must honestly never apologize when we stand up against this police state.
And so many people interpret that as being anti-police when it's really anti-racism, anti-hatred, anti-discrimination, and really like for George Floyd, in a way, it's pro-system. Why couldn't the system work for George Floyd? Why couldn't he have gotten a citation for the accusation he was faced against for having a fake $20 bill? Because when you go to law enforcement agencies and you ask them, hey, if I have a counterfeit $20 bill, what is my punishment? What happens if I'm caught? And it's certainly not the death penalty. It's certainly not. And so we have so much transformation that needs to happen in this country, and whether that's reform or abolishing and creating new, the people will decide that. But what we do know is the other three officers, I've been getting this question a lot, when is their trial? Well, the other three officers are facing both state and federal charges. So the federal trial will happen this fall, I believe, coming up in November. The state trial will happen March 2022. And then Kim Potter, you may remember, was the officer who fatally shot Dante Wright. And so her state trial will be held in December of this year. So these officers are going to be on trial. I know Chauvin and the other three, they all pled not guilty to the federal charges. I'm not sure what type of evidence the Department of Justice has against them, but maybe the Department of Justice launching this investigation into Minneapolis Police Department, as well as Louisville Department, they're investigating. Yes. And there's one other department they're investigating. Maybe these federal investigations will lead to substantial change.
That is what we certainly can hope for, and that's what we're fighting for, and that's what we're going to be diligently using our platform for, because if not, then why are we here? Georgia, coming up, I know we're headed towards the end of this segment, but coming up at 8:40, I'll be speaking with Pascal Roberts. He is an attorney, lawyer, a writer, and of the Black Agenda Report. We're going to be digging in a little bit more into what's happening on the border with our Haitian brothers and sisters, and we want to really flesh that out, because we want to make sure that everyone understands that what happens to the children of the diaspora is a direct reflection of what's happening to us as Black Americans.
Keep it here for that and more on The Benjamin Dixon Show.
play chess. And when I'm out, I'm looking for that vintage fling. But all complexions that I adore, so hard to find, these seem impossible to score. So I dream on to someday find that vintage love. I kept on looking, but everyone's such a bore. And out of a sudden, you came through the door. At the next table, your whiskey neat. The lights were dimmed as our eyes met and you saw me. And forevermore, I like to share that vintage dream. Your whiskey neat. The lights were dimmed as our eyes met and you saw me. And forevermore, I like to share that vintage dream. Yeah, forevermore, we're living in that vintage dream.
I'm thirsty. He grinned as he stumbled through the bar. Well, he said, give me some more love, give me some love, give it all. His breath really said it all. His car was parked behind the back door. Tuxedo black, El Camino, 1969. Well, he said, give me some more love, give me some love, give it all. His filthy fingers said it all. Yeah. Give it all. Well, he said, give me some more love, give me some love, give it all. He's lazy, I said all. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Well, he said, give me some more love, give me some love, give it all. Give me some more love, give me some love, give it all. He said, give me some more love, give me some love, give it all. Give me some more love, give me some love, give it all. All right, give it to me, yeah. All right, come on, come on, come on, come on. Yeah, come on, come on, come on, come on. Well, he said, give me some love, give me some love, give it all. Give me some love, give me some love, give it all. Give me some love, give me some love, give it all. Give me some love, give me some love, give it all. Baby, give me some love. Well, na 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 na.
everybody. Y'all know who it is. You know the voice, you know the sound. It is your boy, DJ Exclusive. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Hope y'all having a good morning thus far. I know I am, y'all. So make sure that y'all stay tuned. We got more coming up next on the Benjamin Dixon telling y'all. Good morning, everybody.
I can't get it's not getting to me. It's never ending. Can't give you what you need. Oh no, no. You're misbehaving. It's getting to me. It's never ending.
Good morning, everybody. Y'all stay tuned. I'm about to say, you know what? I know I had some other audio. I'm like, oh, what's going on? Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. I hope y'all are enjoying the morning thus far, y'all. Shout out to everybody that's in the chat room, streaming wherever you're streaming from. Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you are at TV, Apple TV, Roku, Fire TV. We there too. Good morning, y'all.
I'm about to go Goku. Leave my head is red like old news. Yeah, trying to get the green like it's whole food.
Good morning, everybody. Lily Nat A, Shay 31608, Royal Lee, Shelby Hall. Good morning, Stephanie. Starshine Sundragon. Good morning, Laura Strata Ferret, Brother Chuck Deason. Good morning, Susan. Good morning, Boondock. Nick's Dragon Daddy Bear, Two Daddies, Tony Wright. On and on, Carter Wins, Shoot the Dragon. Esther Roach. Good morning, Pixie on the Moon, 1020 Carey. Good morning, everybody.
The memo, go check the message. I ain't then came back for seconds. I ain't seen your fake little neck. It's lifestyle decrepit. I should probably expect this.
All right.
Too much game for your league. I'm Hussein with Steve. I'm Hussein on these. Legendary on everything you aim to be. I'm insane and free. You can't tame the beast.
All right, y'all. It's time for the show to begin. So, y'all, welcome to the screen. I'm going to roll that intro first, y'all. Benjamin Dixon. Let's go.
Just wanna be a mini me. All these niggas just wanna be a mini me. All these niggas.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show.
Welcome back, everyone. It is Monday, September 27, 2021. I am none other than your host, Benjamin Dixon, joined by my brother from another mother, DJ Exclusive. James, how you doing, man?
Good morning, sir. Doing pretty good. How about yourself, brother Ben?
I'm rested. I'm well rested. As evidenced by the fact that at our patron party Friday night, first of all, good morning to everyone across all the platforms, as you already said, James, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and a very good morning to everyone watching us on Act TV. I want to make sure that everyone understands that you can download the Act TV app and watch us on Roku, Fire Stick, all of those amazing places. James, I'm rested. Friday night, we had our patron party. It was a great party. As long as I could stay there, I passed out somewhere around 10:30, mouth wide open on the screen while everyone was looking. How did the rest of the party go?
Being there looking at the screen, so you don't know what's going on. I was just staring at his punk behind because he clocked out early. I'm just like, this sucker. Yes, Jay. We all talked about you all night long. Because we're like, first of all, you passed out, and then the camera went black. We were like, yeah, I think Ben sleeps somewhere. Talking about, go get some food, and I'll be right back. He like Penny from Good Times, went upstairs and never came back down. I mean, Family Matters.
Man, listen. We had a great time. The hour and a half that I was there, but special thank you to everyone, especially our international audience. I'm always excited to see people from the UK, from Australia, from Japan joining us at our patron parties, patreon.com/The BPD Show. James, thank you for spinning and getting us ready for this next segment. It is always heavy when we have to talk about what's going on around the world. I want to bring in a friend by the name of Pascal Robert, and he He is part of the Black Agenda Report, but he also hosts the podcast called This Is Revolution. Brother Pascal, how are you this morning? Thanks so much for joining us at the last second to discuss these topics.
No problem, man. Thank you for having me. I appreciate being on your show.
The pleasure is mine. Now, I want to make sure that everybody understands who you are. You are a child of the diaspora. You're Haitian, and you also worked years with the Black Agenda Report. I want to take a second here to honor the memory of Glenn Ford and Bruce Dixon, two brothers who I'd listened to and checked out for years. And thank you for the work that you did with them and continuing to do.
I don't know. I appreciate that. Those brothers were very instrumental in giving me my political education and mentoring me and really giving me the understanding of a critical, radical Black political analysis that I try to apply in my writing as well as my appearances on This Is Revolution podcast. So I appreciate your platform. And by the way, what is the name of your co-host? I don't want to ignore the brother here now.
DJ Exclusive, James Bubba Williams.
James, salutations to you, brother. I think it would be rude if I didn't, give you say the what's up to, the Black folk always got to acknowledge each other. You
got to. Always. No worries. Good morning to you, and thank you for joining us this morning.
No problem, man.
Brother Pascal, let's jump in, man. Let's jump into the deep end, because one of the things that I am definitely I'm accepting as my responsibility personally is to make sure that Black people who are the descendants of enslaved people, I like to refer to us as survivors of slavery. I want to make sure that we understand very clearly the common fight that we have when we see the United States government thrashing with whips our Haitian brothers and sisters. I'd just like for you to begin.
Well, I think that the most important thing that we have to understand between African Americans, Black Americans, and Haitians is to realize that we have a historic unity and bond going back to the Haitian Revolution. And the way that I like to frame this is that we have to understand something. Most people don't realize this, but the Haitian Revolution started August 14, 1791. George Washington was president of the United States when the Haitian Revolution began. So contrary to the notion that our founding fathers were secure in this endeavor that they were going to start the founding of this republic, these men, when they're engaging in the early work of building this nation, they are trembling with fear with the realization that in the southern hemisphere of their country, there are Black former enslaved people who are fighting not just the French, but three of the most powerful empires in the history of the world at that time. Let's not forget, Toussaint Louverture and his armies only spent 1 year fighting Napoleon's army. Napoleon's army landed in January, and they were taken out by November of 1803. They spent 5 years fighting the British from 1793 to 1798. And the British sent one of the largest embarkations of soldiers to Haiti, and within 2 months, 10,000 British soldiers were dead. British lost almost 50,000 soldiers in the Haitian campaign, very close to the numbers they lost in the American Revolution. And don't forget, the Haitians had to defeat the French to be fighting under the French and the Spanish, who were also invading in their territory as well. So we have to realize that when Haiti got its independence in 1804, this presented an existential threat to Thomas Jefferson, and he embargoed the country. So while the United States was able to get loan guarantees from the Dutch after its independence, Haiti was basically fighting even for mere recognition. The United States didn't recognize Haiti as a nation until 1862. France had to force Haiti to basically give back like what was 150,000 francs, which became in today's value $20-some-odd billion to pay for recognition under fear of attack. So Haiti was a country that was basically surrounded by hostile enemies because it challenged itself to to the notion of slavery and white supremacy by fighting off three of the largest Western empires. And what's also fascinating about this is that the United States gains the most from the Haitian Revolution because the Louisiana territories were owned by Napoleon before the Haitian Revolution defeated him. And he had planned by sending an army of 25,000 soldiers to New Orleans before they go to Haiti, after conquering the Haitian army, to actually attack North America and conquer the United States. So because he had to send that New Orleans army to Haiti, or Saint-Domingue, as we call it at that time, because we had defeated his first embarkation, he had to give up his plans to conquer North America. And as a result, he sold the Louisiana territories to the United States. So the Haitian Revolution literally protected the United States from becoming a French colony. So a lot of African Americans said, well, y'all made it worse for us. No, we didn't. Would you rather be facing the brutality Haitians were dealing with under the French in North America? Or would you rather be dealing with the British, who at least the Americans, who at least stopped the importation?
Pascal, I love that framing, because without the Haitian Revolution, there is no successful American Revolution. There is no the United States of America. You take the Louisiana Territory out of this equation, and they can forget about manifest destiny going from sea to sea. That should tell me that America itself should recognize its debt to Haiti, but instead we see the brutality. Help the audience to understand that.
The United States has always seen Haiti as an existential threat to its racialized policy of grounding black people to powder. And you don't forget this. We have to understand the Haitian Revolution was a beacon of light for African Americans. Denmark Vesey and Nat Turner modeled their rebellion on the Haitian Revolution. Black Americans, free black people in the North, used to advocate to the U.S. government in the 19th century for Haiti to be recognized. After Haitian independence, thousands of black Americans from the Washington, D.C. area left the U.S. and actually went to Haiti to find, tranquility and escape slavery. Actually, a relative of my mother's family, a man named James Theodore Holly, well-known figure in African-American history, well-known black nationalist who was friends with Frederick Douglass. He left the United States in the 1800s to go to Haiti to found Haiti's Episcopal Church. This was an African-American. My great-grandfather was an assistant bishop in that Episcopal Church in Haiti, and his older sister married the son of James Ambrose Holly. So I have a direct connection to African-American history and the black American struggle through a black man who came and established the church that my great-grandfather was an assistant bishop in.
So what you're saying is you got roots. You got roots, common threads with, and don't we all, right? So even if our roots don't connect that directly, because I didn't know that you were that closely connected, even if our roots don't connect in the last generation, clearly we all understand that the white supremacy that is being faced by our Haitian brothers and sisters at the border is a direct reflection of the white supremacy that we face as black people born in this country as survivors of slavery. I want to contextualize the conversation with a clip from Lindsey Graham, Senator Lindsey Graham. And in this clip, he is trying to convince America that the whips that are being used by the Border Patrol agents, they're being used to protect our families. Let's take a listen to that clip.
And here's what I want to say to the American people. The man on horseback is there to protect your family. The people rushing our border have put us all under siege. And I think the most inhumane thing going on right now in America is that the men and women of the Border Patrol have been completely abandoned, demagogued, scapegoat, and treated like dirt by elected officials in the Democratic Party and this administration.
Pascal, your thoughts on the senator?
I mean, Lindsey Graham, South Carolina, we know his politics. He probably has plantation boss blood in his family. So, and he's not, there's no surprise that he's going to likely be willing to try to reify and justify this abusive treatment of Haitians at the border. For him to say, I mean, every time I hear these ruling class power elite tools like senators talk about the invasion these people feel. Did you feel that way when Haitian soldiers were brought over to fight in the siege of Savannah to give the United States its independence? You in Georgia, there's a statue of the Haitian soldiers that fought in the American Revolutionary War that helped win this country. What do you feel about that? Did you feel this way about the invasion when Dusable who also was from pre-revolutionary Haiti, founded the city of Chicago. Did you feel that invasion? How about that? So it's interesting to me how these reactionary Euro-Americans try to frame Haitians as invaders when there would not be in America without the quote-unquote invasion of Haitians. There would be no city of Chicago. There would be no Louisiana territories. There would be no Manifest Destiny, and there definitely might not be an American revolutionary victory, as Bill Clinton even mentioned himself on a video I can show you, where he acknowledges that, but for the Haitians, we might not have won in the siege of Savannah because of the siege of Savannah. So again, Lindsey Graham is trying to spin this. Listen, Haiti gets the treatment it does because Haiti threatens the myth of American exceptionalism.
Haiti threatens the myth of American exceptionalism. Man, that's a word. That's a word. I want to play one additional clip, or perhaps maybe 2 or 3 more clips, because I think it's important for us to understand and unravel what you described as the political elites playing these games around human lives. The next clip I want to play is of, Representative Brian Babin, who is speaking about this situation with our Haitian brothers and sisters, and he's speaking from a very clear vantage point of the fear of white replacement. Let's listen to that.
Country. They're overloading our welfare system. We know what the Democrats are up to here. They want open borders. This is exactly their strategy. They want to replace the American electorate with a third world electorate that will be on welfare and public assistance, put them on a path to citizenship and amnesty, and franchise them with a vote, and they will have a permanent majority. This is why. We have a quote from 2015 from Vice President Joe Biden, who said essentially that is more and more people from the third world come in. That is a strengthening tactic for them, and by them he means the Democratic Party. It's disgusting to see.
That is Representative Brian Babin. He is from Texas 36th Congressional District, Republican. Brother Pascal, your thoughts?
It's comical to me to hear these reactionary Euro-Americans talking about white replacement theory. How come we don't talk about white replacement theory when we're talking about all the Europeans that have been coming to the United States over the years, where they were replacing the Native Americans, or they were actually enacting policies to undermine African Americans by giving white Europeans lands through the Homestead Act instead of allowing African Americans who were recently freed being able to actually benefit from their freedom. The notion that, the quote-unquote white Americans are being replaced is ridiculous. This country basically is founded on genocide of Native Americans and the enslavement and the oppression of Black Americans. Where does this guy think his ancestors came from? The Mao-Patan tribe? That's ridiculous. This guy is he's a Euro-American, settler colonial descendant of people who invaded this country and genocided people. So he is the replacement. So he has no right. The notion the Americans have a right to be talking about border security is ridiculous, when most of the borders you got, again, is made possible by the Haitian Revolution, and even beyond that, the genociding of the Native Americans that you and your ancestors engaged in the first place.
2 more pieces of evidence. This next one is coming from who was the white supremacist in chief, -45, no longer the president, but his impact is felt. He had a rally over the weekend, and of course, he could not resist the opportunity to demonstrate his raging white supremacy as it pertains to what's happening in Texas at the border. Let's take a look at that clip.
Our Border Patrol agents, and they're going after the riders of the horses, not the people that came in illegally. Isn't that incredible? And they've just put them under watch. They're in big trouble, the riders of those horses. Most people would say they were doing one hell of a job, right? Don't you think? They're in trouble. Can you believe it? One thing is certain, this would never, ever be happening if I were your president, and we should have been your president.
Now, the irony here, Pascal, and I want you to just go wherever you want to go with this. The irony is that it is literally the same policy that Donald Trump put in place that Joe Biden used to remove our Haitian brothers and sisters at the border. But I digress. He could not resist. What are your thoughts about?
Well, unfortunately, mistreatment of Haiti and Haitian people, particularly on the immigration question, has been a bipartisan consensus by the U.S. government. But the irony of watching Orange Man here talking about the Haitian people, is that when he was running for president in 2016, he wasn't talking all this smack when he went to Little Haiti in Miami, the city that I live, and literally told the Haitian people that I will be your greatest defender in the wake of the atrocities that the Clinton family had raged in Haiti after the Haiti earthquake. So it's funny to me to see, Orange Man Trump here talking about how, there are invaders to our country, when he was basically, literally begging Haitians for votes to try to get the victory that he needed in Florida to win that 2016 election. So that's kind of how the hypocrisy of this man is beyond words.
Last but not least, man, we're running up at time, and thank you so much again. I appreciate you. I texted you this morning, and you jumped on it, and I really appreciate it because this is important. I also want to discuss the Democratic response. It's been multivariate. It's been diverse. Here is Maxine Waters' response, and then I'd like to get your thoughts about the Congresswoman and the overall response from the Democratic Party.
I'm pissed. I'm unhappy, and I'm not just unhappy with the cowboys who were running down Haitians and using their reins to whip them. I'm happy with the administration. We are following the Trump policy. He is the one that does not follow the Constitution and would not allow those seeking refuge to be able to petition to get into the country. What the hell are we doing here? What we witnessed takes us back hundreds of years. What we witnessed was worse than what we witnessed in slavery. Cowboys with their reins again, whipping black people. All they're trying to do is escape from violence in their country. Yes, it is unfortunate that it is the poorest country in this hemisphere. It is unfortunate that they have no stable government right now. It is unfortunate that they've had to live through earthquakes. I've been working with Haitians for 30 years. They have always been between Canada and France and the United States treated worse than anybody else. And so, yes, we are here and we're organized and we're saying to the president and everybody else, you got to stop this madness.
Brother Pascal, get the last word for me.
Well, I got to tell you, usually, I'm very hard on the black political class, Ben, but I'll say this, to be fair, the fact that they came out hard against a Democratic president on his policy towards Haiti, I give them respect for that, because I have not seen the Congressional Black Caucus go up against a Democratic president incumbent on treatment of Haiti or Haitians publicly. With Clinton, there was some internal stuff publicly like this in my life. So I'll give them some cool points for coming out and challenging Biden on his treatment of Haitians, which is someone, of course, we know the black political class is in line with some of the more reactionary policies of the Democratic Party. But I think here, at least the optics show that they're trying to make a pivot and try to do the right thing. Maxine Waters has definitely worked with the Haitian community for a while. I will say that. That's true.
Brother Pascal Robert, how can people get up with you and support your work?
At PROBERT06, at P Robert. It's pronounced Robert, but it's spelled like Robert 06 on Twitter. This is Revolution Podcast on YouTube. This is Revolution Podcast on all your relatives, podcasts, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, all of that stuff. You'll find us there. You can Google my name. You'll find me on Facebook, Pascal Robert, Black Agenda Report. Google that. You'll see all my work at Black Agenda Report. I've also written at the Huffington Post, Washington Spectator, Alternate, allhiphop.com. As Ben knows, I've been in this game for a while.
That's right, man. You've been actually, in true stories, I knew about your work before I even knew you or met you. I was reading your work before I even got into this game, for real. So, Brother Pascal, and I have massacred your last name at least 3 different ways. The correct pronunciation.
Robert like Colbert.
Colbert. That's what I was thinking. Listen, everybody knows on my show, I can discuss any topic, but if you give me a simple last name, I'm bound to mess it up. Give my best to Jason and Marcus from This Is Revolution, and we definitely want our audience to go over and support you guys. I loved when I came on.
We got to have you back on the show again one time, Ben.
Let's do that. I'm going to turn it over here to DJ Exclusive. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, like it or not, we're going to deal with everything, and we're going to laugh to scorn all of the absurdity and the intentional obtuseness of white so-called supremacy when we get back after this. I'm extra. Let's get out of here.
The intentional obtuseness. Y'all heard it. Good morning again, everybody. Shout out again to Pascal Robert again. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, sir, and dropping some knowledge. We greatly appreciate you, man. Make sure y'all stay tuned. We got some work coming up. And oh my goodness. I was about to say I had a whole murderer being streamed. What's going on? I gotta know. Good morning, everybody. Good morning.
I'm feeling light in the light track.
Y'all make sure y'all stay tuned, y'all. We got some more coming up next. Like it or not, it's coming up next. Make sure that you stay tuned, y'all. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Mama and Daddy. Love you.
And I know just what to say. And I know just what to do. And I'm so sick of pain. But it's all too quick when you do. I can't afford to be losing this game. And I know it's expect. The rules in my mind can't find the words. No, I can't seem to find. But I'm really trying again. Need some light and take your time and choose. Whether we green or yellow, whether we deep or shallow. Please we know, 'cause we're about to lose. Whether we buy or hello, whether we slip or jello. Sometimes funny me.
All right, y'all. Make sure you stay tuned. Make sure you stay tuned. Line is starting up next, y'all. Real quick, we're going to get our patrons read off. Hey. All right, new patrons. We have Sarah A.P., Christina J.G., Dave Churchill, and Cortrell W. Good morning, everybody. Thank y'all for joining. Welcome. New subscribers. We have MX Slytherin, who resubscribed and commented, happy to be here. This show is so necessary. Thank you so much. We greatly appreciate you. Richness 558. They've been subscribed for 6 months, and they also gifted 2 community subscriptions, so we appreciate y'all. B, good morning, B. And if you have not already, patreon.com/likeItOrNot, patreon.com/likeItOrNot, or patreon.com/The Benjamin Dixon Show. Y'all want to make sure y'all join me and get access to patron parties, exclusive content, some dope music. I need to drop this. New music, all that good stuff, man. So make sure that you go join today. Patreon.com/likeItOrNot or patreon.com/The BBD. All right, y'all stay tuned. Like it or not, it's coming up next. Good morning, Miss Patricia. Luke Kane, good morning. Industrial Arts, good morning. Shout out to Pioneer. Jonathan Guerrero, good morning. Great hot take, good morning.
A shame, think something new under the sun. You can't take back some things you already done. No. You blame things that you do on somebody else. No. But they all see is you need help. Oh, but still you.
Brother Latif, what's going on, Latif? Man, I appreciate you. Did we have a good time on Friday? Brother Dragon, good morning.
So hard. Hoping that one day something gon' change. You waste all of your time covering up your tracks. Spend gotta watch out, and that's the facts. You spend so much of your life scheming and trying to get older. Got you wondering why you come around. All you get is cold show. Yeah. You try so hard to cover up your
real abbreviated, okay, Dwayne?
You try so hard,
like
hoping
10
that
seconds.
one day something gonna
Yeah. It's gonna go right into it.
You try so yeah.
All right, y'all stay tuned. You know what time it is. Like it or not, it's going down. Like it or not, it's about to go down.
Like It or Not with Benjamin Dixon starts now.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning. Damn, never in frame.
Good morning. James, I can't stand you. Good morning and welcome to Like It or Not, where we're free to tell the truth
and not care who doesn't like it.
It is Monday, September 27th, 2021. That song that you heard leading into our Like It or Not segment is none other than DJ Exclusive. James, can you just play not 30 seconds, play 5 seconds so the people can understand my pain of your rendition of Like It or Not. Play for me.
Your pain, this a bop. Like it or not, it's going down. Like it or not, it's about to go down.
All right.
That's my favorite part. That's my favorite part.
Glasses just cracked.
You know what's funny?
They can crack all they want to because everybody in the chat and Patreon love the hell out of it, and I'm gonna keep on playing.
Look, Bubba, listen. It's a bop, like it or not, right? And it reminds me of a time where no, this wasn't my song. It was a Monday, and there's a video out there somewhere in the social media space. But Ben did not like me, and I have 100% proof of this. In the mornings when we did the Like It or Not show, he had just added me on, and without my name on the marquee. But when he had just added me on, I would be so lively and stuff, and he would be just so And then like in the that morning, I would be singing, "It's money making Monday."
Oh yeah,
money making Monday. It's money making Monday, and he just like on the camera. He was still through. He was like, and he ignored me for a second.
Rebecca.
And then he caught himself. And then he was like, "Ha, Rebecca, you're so crazy." Well, today on Like It or Not.
Rebecca Azor. Welcome to Like It or Not. We're free to tell the truth and not care who doesn't like it. If you guys get some of my old clips, man, Rebecca used to say I was a chubby Brian Gumble.
Never said he was a chubby, but did say he was a Brian Gumble. I did.
Rebecca.
But it was crazy. Yeah.
That voice reminds me of something you were telling me this week. You knew I was going to throw you right in. Tell us about what you did this weekend.
Yes. Oh, I forgot to send you guys a picture of the people that I was with, but I think maybe I should keep them under wraps since I'm about to talk about them like a dog. I'm just kidding. I did go out this weekend. I did. No, I'm not though. I went out this weekend and had to speak. I had a lot of things to do. I had to speak at an event, a town hall that was created with a federal or someone who's running to be a federal leader, a local and a state leader, right? So we had all those forms of government in the House, and they were all people of color, and the conversation was immigration, right? It was an immigration town hall meeting. It was done at a local Haitian space that we have here, and I was supposed to just come and say a few words, y'all. I was just supposed to come and say about 2-3 words. 2-3 words for me is about a lot of words. Yeah.
It's a whole show.
It's a whole show. He literally was like, I want you to speak for a few minutes, right? And I said, okay, I'll speak for a few minutes. Like, I just came from work. I'm just clocking out. I'm tired. So I walked in there and he's waiting for me outside. The big idea waiting for you. I'm like, okay. I walk inside and they were really waiting for me. I'm like, what? Wait, hold on. Sat down. They gave me the mic. Didn't say a word. Everybody introduced themselves. I watched as you guys, I need you guys, this is why it's very important to understand who your state and local leaders are. Even the ones that are, locally, but they're trying to run at the federal level too, because these are the people that are going to be representation of you. And at times they are uneducated in who you really are. Okay. They're uneducated in who their constituents are, who builds them up. And so, listening to, and I'm going to wrap this up because this will take me forever, but listening to what they were saying, because we're talking about immigration, the person who was, who put it together is the one that was talking about how there are no resources really for immigrants to come here and go and utilize so that they're educated in the processes so that they can go a legal route or have an understanding of what it may be like, how much money it may be to be naturalized. Because as we know, it's thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, okay, to be an American. Okay. So when the question was asked, there was a one person on the panel as well, a young Mexican girl who had a passion. Now the room was full of Haitians, but this Mexican girl's story, man, that girl, I got to bring her on the show, guys. But that girl had her story was so powerful in speaking about her experience as an immigrant and what it feels like today in America. One of the women who are running for Congress stated, she said, I don't like when we calling us, not us. She's a Black American. And she said, I don't like the fact that
I love the way you change the accent, right?
Because when I'm telling a story, I got to do the character so y'all understand. She had a country accent, a local accent here in Georgia. So she was like, I really don't like the fact, and she's a preacher. I really don't like the fact. She looks down and then she looks at the people. Now we're calling them immigrants. We're all human. We're human. So I said, okay, that's great. It's great. It's giving talking points, but it's really great. It's great. She was like, we're all human. And
you go leave my people alone. Rebecca, you ain't gonna make fun of our accent like that.
She said, you said undocumented. Now I don't like that either. I just want to call us people. It sounds great, guys. So I heard it and everybody was like, woo! And she said, I just want to say something because the young immigrant girl said something. And she said, it's hard. You guys are telling us to have a seat at the table and but it's hard. You have to understand. There's a target on our backs if we do speak up because we are immigrants. There's a target on our back if we try to apply for some assistance that's not even there for us. There becomes a target on our back because we are the least liked in this country. Okay, especially under the previous administration. And now we see what's happening under the current administration with Haitians. That young Mexican girl said that. So the woman who's running for Congress stated, she was like, hold on now. I need y'all to understand. Don't count on us. Don't count on us.
Don't count on us as in who? Who is she talking about?
As the leaders.
This is a local Black woman running for Congress saying don't count on Black people or don't count on leaders.
She said, do not count on us. First of all, she was making a distinction between she was trying to compare the two where it was like immigrant issues and Black American issues, which I have done here. And there's a way that you can do that without taking away from the Black American issue and without taking away from the Black immigrant issue, understanding that they are the same and they are different here in America. You got to understand that. And so, but she was saying, don't count on them as leaders, right? And she looked at that young girl. I keep calling her little because I'm 31 now. I be calling the kids. But she looked at that young woman and she said to her, she was like, I hear what you're saying. But don't count on us. Don't count on us. And y'all need to go get a seat at the table. I
I hear you speaking, and you could be somebody with a seat on the table, but don't count on us. Y'all go and do it. Y'all go and do it.
And she wanted us to vote for her.
So listen to me and listen to me good. So when the mic, I said, I did like this to the mic, and it came my way in 2.5 seconds. The people were waiting. And I said to her, I said, I understand what you're saying, but what it's giving is talking points right now. Those things that you're saying, where we got to get a seat at the table and all those things, were good a few years ago. But right now, there are spaces where there's somebody at the table, right? Mm-hmm. But because the person that's leading at the table, right, is not even interested in the immigrant issue, that person who's sitting way in the corner at the end will get no attention and will be fighting her battle on the streets. And you have to understand, when she gets to the streets, you may not be elected next year. So her power is more powerful than what you're telling her right now. You're saying, and then you're also telling us not to hold you accountable. That's also a great talking point, ma'am. And for us to identify as not being immigrants, migrants, asylum seekers, undocumented, but just to be human. In America, Black Americans aren't even considered, still to this day, human.
Right.
Now, you, in order for us to discuss a difference and for you guys to understand, because you said you want to be educated, in order for us to discuss a difference, for you to understand the immigrant issue, you have to listen to her story and you have to allow her to identify with what America identifies her as until America does not treat her as such.
That's right. So trying to dispel with the like trying to have this kumbaya kind of moment of saying we're all human robs the necessary attention that has to be paid to the asylum seekers and to the immigrants. That's a good talking point. Rebecca, you riding around town giving these people hell? I'm riding around town giving these people absolute hell.
And I love it, and I'm here for it. And I appreciate you, sister.
Thank you. And I would have never. I remember the day when I walked into the old place that we worked in, and because I was a journalist, a young journal, just got my master's degree. 6 years ago, just got my master's degree. I sat in that room, and they looked at me and they wanted me because I was a dark-skinned girl who was rocking a big hairstyle at the time, and because my nails were quite colored, and because I spoke the way I did at the same instance, and because I'm a product of immigrants and I spoke another language. They thought that was exotic. They wanted something like that on the show. I came home from my first day on that job, and I came home to my girlfriend and I said, my best friend, and I was like, hey, mama, I can't do this because I am not qualified for this position. There is no way that I'm going to talk politics when this ain't what it is for me. This is not the language that I speak. And I just heard, because I was just listening this morning, because here's my preacher moment. I was listening to Sarah Jakes this morning, and she said there are going to be times where, God or whoever you guys believe in, but moves you to a different level where you're going to speak a different language, not literally, but figuratively speaking, spiritually speaking, emotionally, in your job, whatever. You're going to speak a different language, and it's going to be time for you to be uncomfortable because you're going to be learning in that process. And you may be a little scared and shifty, but if you're open to it, you will learn it. You will learn it, and you will now be what God has put you in place to be. And I'm like, at that time, I couldn't see it that way. But we're looking years now, and I'm sitting in rooms, and I'm the representation for the Haitian people here. I don't want to be their voice, but being able to pass them the mic, lead the story, but pass them the mic so they can share their stories. Right. I'm the one here that's doing that. And I'm also looking in times where I'm seeing BS happening from our leaders, and I can call them out in a way where it's political. I found my voice in this political space. I do not have to sound like, Benjamin P. Dixon or Joy Reid or whatever. Like, I am somebody who understands it because of experience. And when I walk into the room and I actually understand why it's important for us to elect our officials, but understand the policies that they run on, because what you are, who you are, something that represents you may be missing from the top of that list.
That's right.
And I was able to communicate that. And I came home, guys, and I was so proud. I was so proud of me, and I was so proud of being groomed by Ben, who had to look at me in my rough edges, who had to look at me and say, we're not regurgitating the news. What do you understand about this? And I literally, I was thinking about that, and I absolutely am happy that I was able, and I've been through it all to be able to sit at a table, sit in the room, and really kill it. Really kill it.
Right. She got me blushing over here like a proud papa, man. She told me what she did to those. She told me what she did to those politicians. She told me what she did to those politicians this weekend, and I was just grinning ear to ear. We're going to shift from local right here in Atlanta to national, so people can see what you're talking about, Rebecca, in terms of having that ability to speak on politics. But before we do, could you just for the people, how did that one particular mayor? We don't have to call the city out. We're gonna invite them all on the show so we can talk about all these issues. Yes, because they all literally
ran up to me. They were begging to be on the show. They were begging. And that's a good thing. They were just like, they wanted to be like, yo, you got a show? Because they tried to check me, Ben, and I was like, oh no, we have state representatives on the show all the time. For instance, we had Representative Park Cannon, who you guys can recall was dragged because she wanted to confront Governor Kemp. Do you remember that? And they was like, oh, she got a little bit of, hold on now. Yes, man, my show ain't no little show. My show ain't no little show.
Ain't no little show.
But the one woman that he's talking about is a mayor locally in Cobb County, I'll say. And she didn't, you guys, she kept referring to us as Haitians.
I'm sorry.
And not Haitians. So she was like, it's Asians with the H, and adding that together instead of Haitians. And that's one way you knew she just found out that there was a black group of people called Haitians. But she's the mayor of this particular city in Cobb County. And she's a person of color. And she sat there and she was like, well, there was a school here. If I will interject, there's a school here. And this school is actually a protective area because we have the best schools in this county. This school is actually a protective area for your immigrant kids. OK, it's where they can come and feel OK. And I pride myself in that here in this county, in this city. And that's one thing that should give you guys a peace of mind. We have a growing number of Hispanics and Black Americans. And hold on now, ma'am. Okay, see, this tells me that you think that all Black people are Black Americans in your school. When you have this particular city that you live in, it's a huge number of Haitians and Africans and Hispanics that live right there in that area. And you think because she used the word it's diverse, but did not break down who the people were. Do you know who those people are and why it makes it diverse? What helps out this diverse community of immigrants in your area? What is I asked her, what is the policy for you? And then I said, it's very interesting, ma'am, if I may. It's very interesting that you didn't know that there's a huge community of Haitians and there's a huge community of Africans and Hispanics, particularly what types in your area and what resources you could have gave them. You said that it was because your son asked you for Caribbean food and you had to Google it in your city when there are, my God, so many Caribbean restaurants in that particular area. It lets me know you don't even know that area that you represent.
Well, I want to open invitation to all of the candidates.
I got all the information right here. They gave them all to me. I got all the information right here.
Okay. We want them and I need to send you one because somebody's been in my DM, has been trying to get on, running for a city councilman, I think, in West Virginia. I have to send y'all, send y'all the information. But yeah.
Yeah. Know your local politicians and know their policies. And if you're going to be the mayor, you got to be the people's mayor. Until such time, Rebecca, we're going to deem you the people's mayor. That said,
I don't like the people's mayor. You said the mayor of the streets.
The mayor of the streets. That's even better. See, I can't even remember the little the cliches I come up with. It's that kind of week. Let's jump into some national politics then. I want to start with the big lie, Donald Trump, and this continued belief that he won. My wife and I are looking for a place, and we were driving through a neighborhood, and we saw some pretty nice places. And across the street, though, was a Trump 2020. You know he won. We know he won. Flag. So we're not moving into that community. That said, this is a big lie that's been perpetuated all over the country. Here's a clip from Rachel Maddow and Steve Schmidt. Now, Steve Schmidt is a Republican. I'm not personally a fan of him or his work over at the Lincoln Project, but this clip, I think, puts it into great context of what we're dealing with on the national level with a president, a former president, who intentionally is trying to overthrow our democracy. Let's run that clip.
I think we are in a crisis. It's hard to overstate the magnitude of that crisis. I agree with Mr. Kagan that Donald Trump will certainly be the Republican nominee in 2024. We have an autocratic movement in this country, and part of the strategy, and you see this with the chaos that could result from the debt ceiling, is they are driving both chaos at the same time where they are selling order. So all right-wing authoritarian movements always do this. It's how they come to power. They drive chaos through policies of cynicism, nihilism, and then they promise to restore order with easy scapegoats. These are minority voters that are alleged to have fraudulently voted. That's not so much hidden by a dog whistle as loudly screamed by the Trump people, engaging in replacement theory, engaging in white nationalism, white supremacist replacement theory. The party is now in open alliance with extremist elements. They include those fascists that you saw outside the Capitol. The argument that Trump is making and so many of his allies is that civilization is going to collapse because of the hordes of minorities being imported to steal the birthright and the franchise of the American citizen, to scapegoat and to diffuse the blame from the problems that those that are attacking them are responsible for creating in the first place. So, yeah, we're at a very dangerous moment. It's going to get worse. But a democracy cannot survive in a world where the lie and the truth stand equally. The system that we have is based on a compact that requires faith and belief and trust. It's how we share power with people that we disagree with. We acknowledge that we live in a complex world where people have different perspectives. In the 21st century, I believe that there was a consensus that has unraveled in startlingly short period of time that you can trace all the way back to the beginning of the country. In the name of political power, also the same people claiming that they're doing it in the name of freedom are saying that the preservation of freedom means maintaining our power, not necessarily abiding the results of the election. Despite all the flaws of American democracy or any democracy, democracies are the only system of government that has ever existed in the history of humanity that puts the individual human being on top of the power of the state. Every other system subordinates the dignity of the human being to the power of the state for the purposes of the state, often controlled by self-interested, corrupt minority. It goes to the heart of the American idea, the embrace of humanism, of natural rights, of pluralism, and this idea that anybody can be an American, that we can all stand equal under the rule of law, where we all get a say and get to participate. And that is what is being vandalized and attacked. They've raised more money than the Democrats. Republicans have tremendous advantages heading into this next midterm election.
There's a lot. He said a lot there, James and Rebecca. He said,
my camera went out.
Yeah. We try to do that behind the scenes. I like Steve Schmidt enough in this clip because he's saying all the right things. And it's true. The Republican Party,
our welfare system.
The Republican Party is absolutely 100% in an alliance with white supremacy. Donald Trump is the one who made it possible for them to be out loud and proud again. But that white supremacy, James, that what he's talking about, he's right. It's been here since the beginning of this country. And now it's like the chickens of white supremacy are coming home to roost.
Yeah, absolutely. Trump made it where we knew that they were already out there. White supremacy, like you said, hasn't gone anywhere for the longest. When Trump got in office, it just made it okay for them to be open in public. It's like the Ku Klux Klan running around without their hoods off in public, running everyday life. That's really all it is.
That's right. And that's the power structure that they're trying to preserve, Rebecca. They're trying to make sure that conservatives, particularly, and there's some Democrats, but they are certainly trying to make sure that this country doesn't get any browner, any blacker. And that's why he was throwing in there Donald Trump. I think he was Schmidt was referring to Donald Trump over the weekend. But why they always have this fear of a black America.
Why not? Like, let's be honest. I was watching, it's always a story connected. I was watching a show called The Underground Railroad, which is based off the book, The Underground Railroad. And I was watching as white supremacists, what he was describing was being done by Republicans and what they're building together and how this stuff goes way back when, where the belief that Black Americans would somehow, or Black people coming to America, period, but Black Americans and these migrants who are Black, it's a problem. The belief that they are the issue and the growing and causing the population to be overcrowded, when the percentage of Black people here in America is what? Let's be honest.
13%, 11%.
Hello.
13%.
Second, they just have this huge, they make up these things in their head. And secondly, the fact that it's the same thing that I said, all of that they're trying to preserve this whiteness, which whiteness equals American, right? And it's the Constitution for some. And that's what I saw in that show, that what he's explaining that these people are saying and doing is the same thing that they were doing way back when, the people who were trying to preserve the whiteness in America, because it literally is equal to being American. And if they do that, they're doing good for the country. It's patriotic. It keeps the country and the founding fathers. It keeps them proud. That's something that they really believe in their head. They look at Black people. It's such a problem. I don't know why there is such a problem, but I also noticed that there's a power with Black people that they don't want to, they can't possess, right? But they don't want out there at all. They did what they did to Black people because of their strength. They researched on Black people, even though they said that they were freeing, or they researched on free Black people, even though they said that they were assisting them and helping them assimilate into the world. They were researching on the Black men, making them sick to see how strong their Black bodies could take it. But they would never do that kind of stuff on themselves. They were then tying or practicing the tying Black women's tubes because they no longer wanted Black women to produce babies, right? But they were assisting them and assimilating into the world that way. They wanted them to stop producing because they did not want more Black people in this world. So make it make sense. And to this day, systemically, things are still that way. And, voting is an issue because we will come out in numbers. We will come out in droves. All little 13% in this America, we will come out in droves and make it seem like we're taking over the world for sure. For sure. And it's a scary thing for some reason when what we're doing is fair. What we're doing is literally law, but they'll figure out ways to say that we aren't doing it and take it away from us.
Funny you should say law, because their ways of figuring out how to overcome that is by all of these racist voter suppression laws that are going across this country. I want to dovetail this with the white supremacist in chief in his rally over the weekend, Donald Trump, who is trying to make his play to come back, to maintain his grip on the control of the Republican Party. He could not resist an opportunity to show his racism, particularly as it pertains to what happened to our brothers and sisters at the border from Haiti. Let's take a look at that clip.
Tens of thousands of illegal immigrants have overrun our borders in recent days while laughing in the faces of our Border Patrol agents. And they're going after the riders of the horses, not the people that came in illegally. Isn't that incredible? and they've just put them under watch. They're in big trouble, the riders of those horses. Most people would say they were doing one hell of a job, right? Don't you think? They're in trouble. Can you believe it? One thing is certain, this would never, ever be happening if I were your president, and we should have your president.
It's the Blacks for Trump in the background for me. And I know that area, y'all. That's where my ex-husband is from, that area. I know Perry, Georgia, Fort Valley, Warner Robins, that whole area. Predominantly black. Predominantly black. And you would think, looking at this, this very disheartening. Very much so.
It was the Blacks for Trumps for me too, James. Rebecca, what do you think?
Yeah, good old Perry, Georgia. Back in Tallahassee, we used to report on their weather. I don't know why. We just did. We would say, wrap them weeds, ladies. It's going to be rainy on the People News. But just seeing those black people in the background, it's... Let me tell you something. You speak to a black person, ask them why they are Trump, they are Trump supporters. It is the most minute thing. Minute thing that, let me tell you, they'll be like, because I got extra money on my checks that year that he was in office. Because I got my business loan. He allowed me to get my business loan. Because of him, I saved my business. And I was like, did your neighbor across the way save his business? And all them black people, 10 black people on that street, did they save their business? It was only you. And you're saying that he's somebody that should be seated because he saved only you. We're looking for somebody who's for all the people, not particular people, not because you're a rapper, not because you got way more money in your bank account, not because of... We're looking for somebody who's for all the people, and this man isn't. Why are you guys still here, Blacks for Trump, in 2021? There's somebody else that's sitting in office right now. What are we doing? This is an embarrassment.
An embarrassment.
And you in the back just looking black and silly. Black and silly in the middle of this. This is terrible. This is terrible.
And y'all, I can guarantee you what they probably did. There's a bus factory there, Bluebird, that builds all the school buses. So guarantee what they probably did, probably none of these people actually voted for Trump. They probably were bussed in. I mean, the factory is like right there. All this crap is like literally right there. What they probably did, they probably gave these people $200 a piece. Somebody just said in the chat room and said, hey, put this shirt on from 2020, Blacks for Trump's 2020.com.
You ain't got to tell me
shirt on, and I'm gonna do it. Hey, you want me to do what? Because how they get all y'all asses right there in the center, right there behind Trump.
Oh, that's
they paid them people to get up there.
It's a photo op, honey. It's
a photo op.
It's giving photo op for sure. Like, listen, and they're the ones with that particular shirt on. If we don't look at the they don't even got hats on. Look at the white folks.
They didn't even give them hats.
Look, they literally
look at the white folks.
Let's go get them. And do you mind standing behind me? You ain't got, how much you say was paying? He said he was paying about $200. Yeah, I'm gonna be there. You got a shirt with it? No problem.
During the last campaign, during the last election, Trump and his team actually got outed for paying $600 a person that they were giving away to black people, Blacks for Trump. So yeah, no, there's definitely a financial incentive here, but it's also, like you said, Rebecca, selfishness and ideological. But I just can't see myself being in the presence of all this white supremacy and not going full Django Unchained. Like, how you the black person in that video of the Haitians getting whipped by that white Border Patrol agent, and you not grab that whip and give some retribution? I mean, I understand it. I understand, but I don't understand. Help me understand how you could be in that presence and just like the blackness in you just got to be dead already.
Because the difference is
money.
Yeah, right there. I was gonna say the difference is money. Here, they're not offering anything here, and they're still like it does. In this particular instance, what we're seeing is dead wrong. But these other people that we just watched, they're getting money. They would never run up on Trump because they're getting an incentive. Here, they really They don't care about any of that. They're willing to risk their lives with their children to just get where they need to get. Ben, you asked me a question, and I know this is just 2 seconds off topic, and I thought about it, and I know I answered it to you, but then I thought about it again. All this stuff is systemic. You see these people standing in the background, they got the incentives of money. That's how the system rolls here anyway. They offer us some money. We gonna be outside, even though COVID-19 is a thing, right? It ain't gonna really be to assist us because we see that we ain't getting no checks no more because everybody outside. But you talked about, you asked me, Rebecca, do you not believe in due process? And the thing is, I do believe in due process, but due process in this country is very, very, very systemic too. So even with due process, that's a moment for people to take and make an excuse, right? So that their side could be the side. And, due process doesn't work for us, even as we see. And I wish that lawfully there will be something that would be how we used to say when we were kids, the thing that we would recite, a country that was equal. But we ain't got that. We ain't got that. We ain't got it. We ain't got it. We ain't got it.
Man, I love it when a plan comes together. Let's run this next clip of Little Charlie Kirk. Good morning also to Brother Carl Mack.
Little Charlie Kirk.
Little Charlie Kirk.
That's
Little Charlie.
We ain't forgot about your little Charlie Kirk and your 6 buses. 80 buses.
80 buses. Like it or not. Brother Carl Mack is going to be back with us. He's doing dad stuff, and trust me when I say I understand that. But whenever we talk about Charlie Kirk, I'm reminded of Brother Dr. Carl Mack, as he refers to him as Little Charlie Kirk, who sponsored 80 buses to the January 6th insurrectionist terrorist event.
He won't forget it.
Who should be in jail. He's running his mouth against Haitians. Let's run that clip.
Of course, that's a lie. We know that's not true. You have pictures of people that have pieces of paper that says, please help us. I do not speak English. What bus do I need to take? Thanks for your help. As they get released into the interior of the United States. Bill Malhusian is saying they are releasing entire family units into the United States. What do you do when you start to have a apathetic tyrant, now apathetic when it comes to immigration law, but very engaged when it comes towards forcing vaccinations? I know so many amazing patriots in the great state of Texas, and I love Texas, that have been waiting and are willing for this moment. Deputize a citizen force. Put them on the border. Give them handcuffs. Get it done. Sure, that's dramatic. You know what's dramatic? The invasion of the country. We're going to talk more about that. We're going to talk about how the other side has openly admitted that this is about bringing in voters that they want and they like, and honestly diminishing and decreasing white demographics in America.
There it is.
Did he say invasion of the country?
That's exactly what that.
But when he was the one that had 80 damn buses go January 6th to the Capitol, and you talking about
invading. Bubba, somebody said he belongs to the most punchable face club. And I thought about you because that's your club. You lead that club. You lead that club to talk about who has the most punchable face.
He does have a lot of wide diameter on that
face.
face.
New channel, so I'm trying to keep it cute. Okay.
He has that wide forehead. It's giving immigrant forehead, honestly.
Oh my God.
No, seriously.
It is, honestly.
My ex had the same forehead and he was from Russia. Like, it's the same thing. He got the features. And he's giving a mix of dill pickles from the Rugrats and Grease. You better wake up, cause I need that. He's giving that. He's giving the Grease at the same time.
What the hell does an immigrant face look like, Rebecca? You better say so before we get canceled.
No, like, you're not from here, but you want to talk about people. You don't even look like you
don't look.
White folks. We don't want to even take it really to what we need to say. And white folks said this don't even belong to y'all. This is not your thing. The indigenous people have entered the conversation.
That's right. That's right.
Okay. So
that's right.
So
how long has Charlie been here? I wonder how many generations he's been here. 3, maybe 4.
Because I told you he's given. It's his last name really Kirk. Is he part of the indentured servant crew? You don't know. Woo. You don't know.
Damn, Rebecca.
Know.
You indentured servitude.
So listen. everything that he's saying, it goes right back to what we were saying. You see, Black folks in this country, period, cannot get a break. Can't, won't. Will I won't? I don't know. So you just played a clip from the Arizona representatives, and they were saying basically that what's happening there and how they're fearful of the Black folks right here in America. Now we're listening to Charlie Kirk, and he's fearful of Black immigrants or Black migrants, asylum seekers coming here and invading, because this is what both people that we just saw were breaking down of those Republicans, but this is what they believe. This is one of their mouthpieces. This is the representation. They put this fear about Black people. All Black people are doing in America, especially Black Americans, are living their lives, but there is always going to be like, hey, why are you over there being Black? I don't like that you're being Black. I really don't like that. See, that's that thing I'm talking about. They're invading our spaces. Why are you over there being Black in a white city? Why are you over there benefiting about that good school? Bring your kid over to that good school over there. You don't deserve to do that. You don't deserve safety. You don't deserve a bank account. You don't deserve a house loan. You don't deserve, getting a vehicle easily because your credit is good. We need to put you through the ringer. Same thing with these Black migrants coming over here. Same thing. It's like they believe that we're going to come and take over. And I don't know why that is the mindset. But Ben, like you said, you don't even know how far back he can trace his lineage, but you can.
Yeah.
Further.
Well, I mean, right. I can go further. I mean, for obvious reasons, I can't go all the way back.
Yes. But you still can go further. And that's the most American thing. You're more American than half of these people who are the most population in America. But you're more American than them.
They're not even really American.
Right. Hey, shout out to Nick Eden real quick. He said his head is shaped like a pinky toe.
A pinky toe or a big toe?
It's giving big toe. It is giving big toe.
It's giving big toe. It's big toe.
His face got wide girth, and therefore I have to concur that it is.
I'm telling you guys, my ex had the same shaped face, same color eyes, everything.
See, you got to get specific. Well, you got to get specific because when you said immigrant head, I'm like, Lord, we got canceled on day
yes,
one.
You guys.
You talking about your ex?
Yeah, no, he has the same shape, and he's an immigrant. He's Russian, and same thing, child. Same thing.
That guy. Man, Rebecca, I've known you too long because I know exactly who you're talking about.
Russian? How did that work? We'll talk later.
Oh, no, he had Black in him too. Just need you to understand. Because he had Black in him too, but his
after party. Patreon
looks very white. That's all. He's half white and he's half
Patreon.com. So if you want to know what Rebecca's talking about and all the other shenanigans, because I have to be honest with you guys, this is a pretty light morning. Normally by now we would have fell out of our seats laughing. But if you want to see that and Rebecca talk about her ex who had a head that looked like a big toe, patreon.com/like it or not. We're gonna head to the after party in a few minutes here. But before we go, I got to give a couple of good clips. We had Maxine Waters earlier today, but I want to play the clip from Representative Al Green. Yes, Al Green, not that Al Green. But
I know, right?
Representative Al Green from Texas. And this is where I know. Yeah. He's smooth like that, though. He's from that generation. When you see him,
you'll see him, and he looks exactly like what his name.
He got the slick back. He got the process.
He got the slick back, baby.
But we love Representative Al Green, especially on this
curl juice.
We love you,
Rebecca.
Texturizer.
I can't run a show. I cannot do a show with Rebecca.
He got the drip.
I'm trying to introduce a clip. He got drip for real.
The grease stain on the leather seat.
He got that soul glow. James, he got that soul glow. He get up off that couch and leave the stain on the back of the seat.
Right there. On the back. Right there.
Representative Al Green, who led the charge, we respect highly, he led the charge in the impeachment against Donald Trump. He said this about Haitian lives. He said that Black lives still matter. They matter in Haiti, and they matter at the southern border. Brother Al Green.
Black lives still matter. Doesn't matter who's in power. Black lives matter. The circumstances haven't changed. Black lives matter wherever they happen to be. They matter in Haiti and they matter at the southern border. And what you see here is despicable, and reprehensible.
Is it? Can't really see his hair texture there, but the point.
No, yes, you can. The shine is shining, and it's kind of slick to the side. Is that a ponytail?
Is that a ponytail?
Is he giving a pony in the back?
He's helping our case out.
That's a whole ponytail in the back, ain't it?
It's a pony. Oh, it's a ponytail, honey. It's giving girl. It's giving girl.
We have no respect. We have no respect.
What he's saying is right, and I hope that the push that he's bringing, and I'm glad he got his mask on. But I hope the push that he's bringing is heard. But what they're hearing him say is nothing that hasn't been said already. What he's saying is 100% true. And so many fights and so many voices have been said right here in this space. I love that he brought in a graphic, because sometimes you forget. We could say we could say Black people are dying.
That's right.
But we got to come and put a picture of George Floyd. We got to come and put a picture of Breonna Taylor. We got to come and put a picture of Tamir Rice. Like, we got to come and put all these pictures up, because white folks seem to, want to, and they only white folks, it's Black officials too, seem to want to, choose what they know and what they remember, and what they want to actually cover or touch on or fight for. And sometimes we got to show the homeless people in the streets, so I like that they're doing that. But it's crazy because everyone's life should matter, but we do. This is what I'm talking about. We have to call a thing a thing. The reason why we're saying Black Lives Matter is not because we want to separate ourselves. It's because we were made separate in this country. And so we have to tell you that, hey, my guy, Black Lives Matter. And it's sad that we have to say that, but we do. Okay. And the fact that we get pushback from people who don't look like us, they got a problem with us saying that we should say all lives matter. There were even people who are superstars who will say, and they're Black, but because they don't live the life right now anymore, so they forgot. Nah, all lives. We have to understand that God, we are all God's creatures. Well, they don't think about you like that here. Yes, that may be the case, but they do not. The same people who read that Bible that you heard that in, they don't see you like that. They see you equal as hell. I mean, not equal, separate, right? But equal, right? They see you separate as hell. They look at you and they say that's a person too, but they're not the same type of person as me. Right? We can't treat them. We can't give them the same opportunities as us, because they will invade. They're producing at large. They're producing at large amounts. Because of them, we need population control. 13%.
All this empty space. There's a lot of empty space in America. A lot of economies that could absolutely use all of the migrants and asylum seekers that we could possibly get. Right? Georgia is one of the states that actually could use a population boost, especially you think about Alabama, because they don't want to wear a mask. They don't want to get a vaccine. They have seen a decrease in their population. More people died in Alabama last year than this year. And you mean to tell me that y'all don't need more population?
No, they don't want more Black folks.
That's it. That's right. That's it. Last but not least, folks, before we get ready to go to the after party, I do want to say again, good morning to everyone who's watching us for the first time via ACT TV. We are streaming live in our partnership with the distinguished people there who have been a part of the progressive movement since Occupy Wall Street. We want to say good morning to all of you. And to everyone who's watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, we're getting ready to go over into the after party. Rebecca and James, I want y'all to watch this last clip from Auntie Maxine Waters. Don't always refer to her as that, but in this clip, she most certainly is Auntie Maxie Waters, calling a thing a thing. We spent most of this time talking about Donald Trump because, well, he made it easy to be openly racist. But the policies that we're seeing at the border right now, they're happening underneath Joe Biden. And Maxine Waters didn't care that that is her Democratic president. She stood on behalf of the Haitian people. Let's watch that clip.
I'm pissed. I'm unhappy. And I'm not just unhappy with the cowboys who were running down Haitians and using their reins to whip them. I'm happy with the administration. We are following the Trump policy. He is the one that does not follow the Constitution and would not allow those seeking refuge to be able to petition to get into the country. What the hell are we doing here? What we witnessed takes us back hundreds of years. What we witnessed was worse than what we witnessed in slavery. Cowboys with their reins again, whipping black people, all they're trying to do is escape from violence in their country. Yes, it is unfortunate that it is the poorest country in this hemisphere. It is unfortunate that they have no stable government right now. It is unfortunate that they've had to live through earthquakes. I've been working with Haitians for 30 years. They have always been between Canada and France and the United States treated worse than anybody else. And so, yes, we are here and we're organized and we're saying to the president and everybody else, you got to stop this madness.
Now, let me. I saw your face too. I saw now. Yeah, Auntie, she got it right. She is pissed. That's what she said. But when she said it's almost worse than slavery, I couldn't agree with that. It's just like it. That's what we were seeing. We were seeing what happens with, like, imagine if there was no camera there. Imagine, right? It's exactly what it was. It's the treatment of black people the same way. We don't want to see that. We're in 2021. We should never see anything that is reminiscent to slavery. Period. Right. Period. Point blank. Never. Never. Ever. Ever. Never.
Like it's like police are sticking up to what they originally were put in place for.
Right. Slave masters, literally, masters. This is what it was giving. It was giving a runaway, like them going to chase the runaway and doing whatever they wanted and could in that moment. That's what I saw. That's literally what I seen with my own eye. I'm like, this cannot be real.
And that's what they did with the cameras on. Knowing full well cameras were everywhere. This is how they behaved with the cameras on. How do you think they treat Haitian migrants and asylum seekers and immigrants in the first place at the border when the cameras are off?
Ben, they literally took them in the night on, I believe it was Friday night. They took them. They literally came there and packed them up on that day. They were there on. I have a friend group here who went there. ATL for Haiti went there on a Thursday. Saw them, seen them. I believe on that Friday morning, went back. There were no Haitians there. They cleared out thousands of Haitians, right? So they packed up and they went searching for them and would find, like, in little places here and there, like just a line of them, maybe here and there, and nobody could reach their people. So it told me a few things. They were able to do something for these migrants at some point, bring them somewhere that had shelter or something, right? There was something that could have been done. Because if you tell me you could just clear out thousands of Haitians and have them missing without no trace.
Yeah.
That was a problem. So this happened over the weekend. Finally, we got some kind of understanding yesterday on where they brought them, but still don't know where. And somebody took their cell phone and was able to reach out to family saying they done took some of us, to a waiting area that's scary looking. Some of them were actually brought, and I believe, as photo opportunities to be processed, right? For papers. Now, there are thousands of them. Thousands that they got up, and I know it didn't happen without a fight. And I just can't. And there were no cameras in that moment. There was nothing. They literally took them. And this happened over the weekend, you guys. And that's the latest updates that I have with that. And I have a lot of people, sending me photos of where some are being processed and things like that. Some people had one over the weekend and had to go find abandoned areas. Could not say where they exactly were, but had to find abandoned areas in that abandoned town to feed the ones that were probably hiding out and things like that. You guys, there's so much happening there that they're not showing, they're not talking about. And that's what the issues are. It's like they want to paint these people as, and this is the administration, this is the current, I'm not talking about the previous administration, I'm talking about the current administration. I know it sounds like I'm talking about the Trump administration, but I'm not. I'm talking about the Biden administration. They want to, they were saying that they're working on processing them all. They're doing all of this, but deportations have not halted. They have not stopped.
No.
They have not stopped.
And it doesn't matter which administration it is, Rebecca. we're seeing this treatment. We're seeing this treatment across the country. Listen, we have a lot more to go. We're getting ready to shut down the first the live stream. We're getting ready to take it to the after party. After party is where we let our hair down, such as it is, and cover so many more stories, as well as just entertain and enjoy ourselves. Patreon.com/like it or not. This is our first episode with Act TV. This is the first episode of a new season. I want to thank everyone from Act TV, but I really want to especially thank the team here, the people that you see on the screen and the people who are behind the scenes. Rebecca Azor from the highest of Seven Hills, Florida A&M University. DJ exclusive, James Bubba Williams from the best HBCU in the history of HBCUs. You can't spell HBCU without BCU, Bethune-Cookman University. And shout out to Georgia. Georgia, I know Rebecca's going to have everything to say about it. Dwayne, get ready to cut the stream before she gets to say anything else. Shout out to Georgia for it. Dwayne in the background, Done Right Media, thank you so much. David, producing in the background, thank you so much. And to everyone who makes this possible, Dr. Carl Mack and Sister Georgia Ford, we will see everyone tomorrow morning. Patreon.com/like it or not. If you want to get to the after party, because that's where we're going. DJ exclusive. I forgot one thing. Pascal, the Pascal Show. Not Pascal Robert, who was here this morning, but our brother from another mother, Pascal. He's going live. I still messed it up. Did I mess it up again?
Pascal Robert.
Robert.
Like Robert.
Robert.
Who did I miss this morning? And we'll talk about it in the after party.
Right, yeah.
Y'all gonna let me mess up names and just get past.
We'll talk about it in the after party. I got a story for you guys in the after party, though. That's it's gonna be about last night. I went to go see Raheem Savine.
About last night.
Okay.
About last night. I need to let y'all know what happened, but you can only know if you are a Patreon. And head over to the after party. Please head over to patreon.com/like it or not and become a Patreon today so that you can hear the exclusive juicy story. See you guys in the after show.
It's in your hands, DJ. We'll see you there.
All right, y'all. Thank y'all so much again for tuning in and joining us today. Make sure that y'all head on over to the after party. If you're not coming to the after party, make sure that you go over to the Pascal Show and check out our brother. Leave y'all with a track today from MXB. Good morning, B. This is you.
She's so a brother, yeah, she walks on air, yeah. And yeah, she does it with such savoir-faire, yeah. Don't matter what is standing in her way, cause you know she's getting through it. So
good morning, Mara. Good morning, now.
She's got what you
want. Sweetheart. We missed you, sister.
You know she's got everything. So boy, don't you cry.
Hollywood 2000, good morning. Susan, good morning. Environmental Coffee House, good morning, y'all.
Come on, just come to mama. She'll take care of all of your drama.
Laura Strada, I tried to get back up to it, but it disappeared on me. I'm not able to get it. Maybe if you can get Laura's super chat for me, that'd be amazing.
Like she's a queen, but you better not forget it. So bend the knee, and if you wanna be a knight, you better prove your loyalty. You better listen to me. She's got what you want, she's got what you need. You know she's got everything. So boy, don't you cry.
Mama, I see you. Good morning, Mama.